You're live. So, has anyone signed up for show and tell today?
We don't have any official signups, no.
Cool. It should be
But
very short today then.
yeah, it should be very short today. Maybe some other people will show up. There's always some latecomers. So, we'll see. But I do have something.
Alrighty. Well, go for something.
Awesome. All right. It is about React. It's about React hooks. Um, and it is, I think, going to feature my biggest criticism of React hooks, which is that you have to understand shallow comparisons. Um, so let me share my screen. All right, can you all see that? Awesome. All right. So let me just stay on page. If I leave page, I'll lose this because it's not saved. But okay, I have to hit this refresh button right here. All right. So React has these hooks, right? And a lot of the hooks have this thing called the dependency list, which is the second argument to the hook. So use memo has that, use callback has that, use effect has that. Those are the three ones that are always top of mind for me. I'm not sure if there are others, but this dependency list um, is the list of variables that if they change, this will execute. So what's not intuitive is that this list changing, they do it by, I think, value comparison or maybe shallow equality. So or object equality. So this is an array right here, but I'm changing this array. When I click this first button, when I click this button right here, I'm going to change the array. I'm going to push a thing into it. I'm going to push the number 1 into it. And then I'm going to call set things right here. Set things is defined in use state. And whenever we call a state setter, that's going to re-render the application or re-render the component, sorry. But when I re-render the component, I should see this value change, right? Because this value is things.length. So if I update things, I should see this string change. But we're going to see that that doesn't happen. So when I click this, nothing happens. I am pushing things into the array right here. I am pushing the number 1 into the array repeatedly. I did it 3 times. But this doesn't update. This dependency doesn't update because the array reference is the same. It's the same array reference that I had when I called use memo last time, right? So I didn't really change things. Now, if we call set things with by declaring a new array, right? So we just sort of destructure things and then add something to it and put that in brackets, and that's a separate array now. It's going to have a new array reference, and therefore this comparison will be triggered, right? We'll be comparing the first array reference against the second array reference. So I'm going to click that, and it says 4. So there's 4 things in the array right now. The docs don't do a good job of describing this. They do mention it, but it doesn't feel like they're really pushing a best practice of only using primitives in this dependency array. If you use the primitives in this dependency array, things are always going to work the way that you think that they work. But if you use an array in the dependency array, if you use an object in the dependency array, you're opening yourself up for weird bugs to happen. And that's sort of a not an intuitive thing. And that is my show and tell. Any questions from either of you?
No. However, no one can see us clapping for you with the screen share on.
Oh, okay.
So you have to like kill the screen share immediately so you can get your applause.
Okay. No clapping until screen sharing is done. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
I may be able to do one. Let me bring some stuff up here. It can be about the thing I talked about last week, which was getting the process of getting us on a stream automated, because it can be a tad convoluted. Google software update wants to control your accessibility features. Why? No. Okay, so last week I talked about how to automate the process of getting us streaming via Keyboard Maestro, which is just kind of a workflow builder, or can be a workflow builder, similar to Automator. Processes are very similar. However, Zoom doesn't have menu items for everything that's on the display screen, like claim host, which when I log in to set everything up, I'm not the host of the meeting, so I have to claim it to be able to go live. So the buttons for that are in the interface, just not accessible via the menu system, which Keyboard Maestro has access to, which meant I had to like go and click things, like pick out coordinates on the screen that may or may not change. So it's not as accurate, and timing can be an issue. Ideally, I wanted to utilize accessibility labels. Thought that if those were built into Zoom, that might be something that I could easily hook onto. And it was not. However, the accessibility tools that Xcode has allowed us to inspect some things about the process. So let me see if I can show this off here. So I'm gonna share my second desktop, and I might be able to do it here. Okay. I don't know if this is going to work because of how Zoom changes the interface when you're screen sharing, but can you see the Zoom controls on my screen?
No, I cannot. No.
So you don't see the like more remote control anything on the screen?
No.
That's a bummer. Well, let's start here, and maybe you can see it via this. So this is the accessibility instructor. This is available as a tool through Xcode. I've been using it so often that I just put it on the Stream Deck for now, but normally you would have to open up Xcode and wait for Xcode to load, apparently. Oh, it's angry. Sure, why not? Go for it. Oh boy. Oh boy. All right. Well, that's doing stuff. Anyway, I'll show you how to get to it. But this is what it looks like when it opens. It's just a window, kind of like the dev tools for Chrome or Safari. So I'm going to take this little target. Oh, there's, well, stay. Oh no, stay. Oh, everything's awful. All right, we're gonna kill this for now. Here's Xcode. Xcode, to open the accessibility instructor, it's not actually like in this menu, it's in the Xcode menu itself. And there are developer tools, and accessibility inspector is right here. So you can open that. And then you get this tool that we were just looking at. And we can kill Xcode for now. All right, so I'm going to click on the button that I want to click, which you can't see, but you should be able to see that I'm seeing it here. And just like a web dev tools, I get a lot of information about this button in the interface. I can see that it has no label, which it does. I wonder if it's because of the way this is working. All right, let's try this one. It's a little. So it's a button that says remote control. It's a menu button. These are the coordinates on the screen right now, which I probably could use those possibly to like really dial in the pointer clicks. I haven't tried that because ideally I just want to inspect and then find it via the label, which would seem the most accurate to me. I had trouble doing that. However, there's this hierarchy, which we can utilize with AppleScript, which I can fire off from pretty much anywhere. So in the script editor here, just so that you can see the AppleScript. So I'm going to tell system events to go ahead and look inside the Zoom process, which is what Zoom is called. So you see that at the top level here. And then I'm going to click a button. Now, oh man, it's a bummer that it's not matching up exactly. I wonder. Yeah, this interface has changed since last week. So interesting. So when Zoom is open, not in the screen sharing portion, the button is not just directly on the application. It's in a splitter group. So you have a little bit extra hierarchy to go through. So I'm saying go ahead, click button. In this case, I'm saying 3. Ideally, you would say something like, click button remote. What was the thing we were looking at before? Come on. These auto hide things are killing me. There we go. Wow. This is not playing nicely with screen sharing. All right. So we have a button that has a label of remote control. Ideally, you would say something like click button, remote control. I was not able to get this to work. So if someone knows more about AppleScript here or on the internet, whether possibly watching this, go ahead and let me know. I would love to be able to click this based on a label. I did not get that to work. So they are indexed so you can just like kind of run through them and trial and error, hit them. So we found out that it was number 3 in that particular screen. And then the splitter group the same way. It has a name in the hierarchy. Here, we were not able to access it that way, so we had to look at it just as 1. So we're going to say click button 3 of splitter group 1 of Windows Zoom meeting, which again, because I can't see Zoom, I can't show it to you, but the main window that Zoom has open is called Zoom meeting. So it's probably going to be Zoom meeting, which would all be accessible via this hierarchy as well. So if I were to click this Apple script and execute it, it would hit that button. So even though it's a long process, it's far more accurate than me telling the pointer to click certain coordinates on the screen. But there's a lot more trial and error. I don't know if I wouldn't say a lot more trial and error. There was just as much trial and error with the point and click as there was trying to figure out what buttons were what. But it's a different way to do it. And I hope that it will be less error prone once it's set. So that's a way to use the accessibility inspector for good and evil. That's all I have.
Nice.
I'm gonna stop the share so I can accept my claps.
Nice.
Welcome, Vidal.
Thank you. Good work, Matt. Are we the only 4?
Yes, it's just us 4. Yeah, I shared something already. Matt has shared something. So I don't know if you have anything, Vidal.
Well, does Suzanne have something? I don't want to jump the gun, jump the shark.
Thanks for asking. I don't have anything today.
I do not have anything. I've been working though on my C++ thing, and it's been a lot of fun. It's very extensive, but I think I'll show it once I get to a certain point.
That's cool. Just to fill time, can I ask you questions about it?
Sure.
All right. So is it the same sort of the wrapper around curl that you were doing before to interact with Ameritrade's, I think it was Ameritrade's APIs?
Yes. But I've since discovered that the trading strategy that I'm trying to execute, TD Ameritrade actually doesn't allow me to do it because I guess of some sort of type of trade that I'd be placing. So I'm going back to E-Trade's API, which is a lot less fun to deal with. Because I don't know if you remember, a while ago I showed that it's using OAuth 1.0 as its authorization protocol, and you have to build your request headers by generating a signed HMAC with the credentials they give you from the API. So it's just like, it's very annoying to deal with. Once you get past that, it's not the worst, but I'm going back to that because I've been able to do the trading strategy, at least manually, that I want to do via on E-Trade.
E-Trade.
But and E-Trade's API is, at least to place orders, you can place them with a JSON request body, which is nice. JSON is something we're all familiar with, but a lot of its API is still in XML. So I'm actually looking at, I guess actually I can share my screen. I'm looking at this way down. The cool thing is always about working with C or C++ is that it gets you closer and closer to some of these really low level libraries that we all depend on but don't really realize it. One of them is libxml, specifically libxml2. And that's a C library to parse XML documents. And the actual library, let's see if I can get to the home page. Its documentation page looks like this, which is very much like some of the things you encounter in C. And like, if you go to its API, it's just bleh. And it felt very much like working with the curl API directly, and I didn't feel like writing another wrapper. But there is this cool library called libxml++, which is a wrapper for libxml, and its interface is far more, and documentation are far more reasonable. So you can parse the document, which will give, and even you can parse the document, and that document will give you some functions that you can use to get children, get the root node, and then once you get the node, you can get context and you can search with XML. So this is more stuff that we're used to. So I'll probably just use this, but
That's cool.
magical world of E is a big sea of craziness, if you will.
Yeah. Nokogiri depends on libxml too,
That's probably
as well.
That didn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Oh, there's also this funny this GitHub repo that I've been using to figure out which C libraries to use, called Awesome CPP. I guess some languages I think have a repo like this, which is a curated list of libraries that are helpful for people getting into it. But this is the subheading for the C++ section, or the XML section.
Oh man, that's rough.
Yep, sounds about
That's
right.
rough.
But
As somebody that it's so funny because I came, like, when I started programming, like a long time ago at this point, XML was everything, right? That was the big innovation. XML was the big innovation at the time because there wasn't really an interchange format, and it was meant to be readable by humans.
yeah.
Right? It's like this was the innovation over flat files. XML was the innovation over flat files. So it's like it's rough. It's rough. XML is, but flat files still exist in the world. XML still exists in the world.
Well, our whole job is based on XHTML, which it's basically XML. It's just of a very specific DSL. So we very much depend on it. And I guess when people realize that for communicating data as key value pairs, that just nested key value pairs in a very simple structure like JSON was far preferable. And then everything just shifted over there in that direction. But I don't know. It's kind of cool to go back, and I'm actually having a lot of fun writing C++. I guess I can do a little bit of a walkthrough of the code, unless Vinicius has something to share.
Hi everyone. I'm sorry I was late. Today. Yeah, so like regarding XML, what I think is that I totally agree with this subtitle, like that Vidal showed to us. Like I think that if it's like to transfer data, it's like, for example, in computer, like in programming languages, we usually have like lists and hashes or maps. So it's super easy to convert this stuff to either JSON or XML. It's fine, but to convert back from XML to a list and hashes, it's not like we cannot do that because there's like multiple ways to represent a list in XML, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's like the thing that pisses me off. Like I had to integrate with an XML API on my last client, and it's awful.
Yeah, because some of it depends on what tree traversal algorithm you're trying to use to interpret the document. And I don't know. It's nice to not have to think about these kinds of things. But I'll do just a quick little walkthrough of some of the highlights. One of the things, if you guys know me, I like things to look nice. So as I've built my my little CLI tool here, I have some little helper text for the TD Ameritrade one. It's nice and colorized. If I want to refresh the tokens, give me some nice little emojis in the thing. If I do like something that doesn't make sense, offer some nice little helpful messages. Oh no, look, this is not properly spaced. But it does help when you're trying to interpret this stuff. Like this trading strategy I'm doing is, I call it straddling, because it's basically not trying to make a prediction on the movement of a security. It's just placing, or let's see, it's placing orders, recommending that a certain kind of order is placed that will activate once the price reaches a certain point. But like, if you don't organize and format this stuff, it's just a big garble of text. So it's been kind of nice to take time to make it look a little nicer. But in the code, it's just, one of the things with building C++ projects is that it's very much a wild west of structure. And I would actually say that coming from Ruby helps a lot, which is interesting because I think a lot of Ruby's practices and notation in some cases are borrowed from C and C++. But in Ruby, when you do Rails new, it gives you all the directories that you need, and you don't have to think about it. But this, which is actually, now I think about it, a little bit like a node project outside of some of the conventions that frameworks like React and others suggest. Like you have your source files, you have config. If your language compiles, you have a build directory, and you might have some executables to run, and you have some dependencies, but that's really it. And it's up to you to decide how you want to organize everything. So just slowly coming up with a structure has been a challenge in and of itself. And this is just the entry file for dealing with the E-Trade interface. And it's just one of those things where, like, when we write programs, I've never written a CLI tool that's supposed to accept arguments from the user, but just thinking about what the user might be trying to input and what they're expecting is kind of a fun challenge. This is, like I said, the whole separate domain that I had to create for just building the request header for authorizing. I split everything into small little files. Maybe the more interesting one to look at would be building the signature. You have to use OpenSSL. All right, which one is? Yeah, I use OpenSSL's encryption algorithms like HMAC, and then you have to base64 encode it, and I don't know, just weird stuff where you have to create an output and pass that output into a function that's taking a key that's converted from a C++ string type to a C string type, and I don't know, that's just fun. I do like having to think about types. It feels, I mean, the closest thing I've used that does that is TypeScript, and that's just like a layer on top of JavaScript. But having to think about what you're expecting each type to be is annoying at first, but I think gives you a nice sense of security once you get used to it. Everything seems a little bit more verbose, I think, as a result, but I'm also using a cool formatter. This one, let's see, I'm using the ceiling formatter, so that really helps, especially, yeah, for anyone who's learning a new language out there. I would strongly suggest setting your editor up to run auto formatting on write, because one of the challenges of learning a new language is learning how to stylistically write it. And if there's something that's just already decided this for you, it just takes one less thing off your head, one less burden of part of your learning curve. But this is me using that curl library, or that curl wrapper that I wrote with the, that kind of makes sense. But anyway, that's mostly it. I don't think it's anything too exciting, but very different from the world of Ruby. That's it for me.
Can I share something like really quick?
Yeah.
I didn't apply for that.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, I'm like super late and I didn't apply for that. But anyway, like so this week I learned that CSS has like this property called mix blend mode. I don't know if you guys ever use that. It's like it's like we define like a strategy for the browser to mix colors basically. So like the example that they put here, it's like they have like an SVG with like 3 ellipses, one on top of the other. It could be like any div with like, you know, like if you do like position relative and absolute, you have like some divs on top of the other with different background colors or with different font colors. And then you just, if you specify this mix blend mode into some of these values, it will kind of like calculate the colors and generate something for you, right? So they have like these examples here on how each value, each mode would act on how it will mix the colors. But it's like really cool. And then and usage, like I find out about this because in my client's project, they were using to create like a progress bar with like two colors, right? So like the background color, and then the thing that's like progressing is like the other color. So the so they use just like two colors, like black and yellow. So like the black was like the background color, and then the bar was like yellow, and the text was originally written in yellow, and then when the progress passed through the text was just like converting to this black, you know. So it was flipping the color. And then I found that it was like really interesting. I saw like some other examples in other pages that they had like a big logo, a big like let's say like a big header for for a website with like a background color, a background image, let's say like Hashrocket logo, and then they could like apply like a text on the top of it, like let's say like Hashrocket like as a text with like different colors, and then as soon as the background color like change because we have like the logo with like multiple colors, the text could change as well, right? I think that the most used that I've seen people using is like the difference because this causes like the most highlight uh, contrast between colors. Anyway, like I found this like very interesting. It's it's a it's like really cool. Yeah, here's like another example, easy to see the colors being mixed.
Yeah, anybody who uses the Adobe Creative Suite will be very familiar with those exact blend modes because when you're combining layers, whether in Photoshop or Premiere or After Effects, these are the exact blend modes. Can you scroll all the way to the bottom for the browser support?
I know, that's what I was gonna ask too.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's like really well, I guess.
no IE, can't do it.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean,
not until what is it? Is it April or August? IE11 is officially goes out of support in either April or August. I
Are you
forget.
serious?
Yeah, by
Really?
Microsoft.
Like they're gonna disinstall it from all the machines?
No, I mean that's them not supporting it anymore. That doesn't mean like we don't have to support it.
Oh.
yeah.
That is pretty cool. Well, hopefully the worst case scenario, if you try and use it in IE, is that it just looks like a bunch of colors just on top of each other, not blending. But that is very
Yeah.
cool. The big application that I use that for when I'm doing visual effects for my videos is a lot of times when you get visual effect assets, like I just bought this pack of explosions, like fire explosions, is that when you want to use a lot of those assets, they'll film them or create them in a completely pitch black background. And if you use the blending mode of screen or add, it will take the black background completely off and it'll superimpose it directly on whatever you're trying to blend. And there's some cool things you can do with overlay and stuff like that. But cool. Thanks for sharing that. I didn't know about
Cool.
that.
Yeah, that's all that I have.
I would like to share my screen and talk about IE11 if we can.
Go for it, Chris.
All right. All right. Which one is it? Okay, so let's zoom in on this right here. So to be clear, right? Microsoft Teams will stop supporting Internet 11 on November 30th, 2020. So that's Microsoft Teams doesn't support it anymore.
Wow.
And then Microsoft 365 products will end IE11 support on August 17th, 2021. So
But then
for
that last
those,
sentence.
yeah, it's still gonna be around. It's still gonna get security updates for a little bit. So it's not like it's dying, right? But I think if the main driver of IE11 users still is corporations, right? And if corporations that are on the 365 products can no longer use IE11 to use 365, hopefully that will stop bleeding off the users of IE11 to a point where you stop seeing it in your statistics, right? So as soon as we stop seeing it in our statistics for certain user bases, right, for certain applications, then we can stop supporting it. But you know, there'll always be IE11 retro hipsters out there that are, you know, gonna want to use
I
their
thought that
IE11.
at this point everyone would be using Edge for Microsoft products.
One
Yeah,
would hope. When
so
I
It's
yeah,
start
crazy.
seeing it on that support chart at the bottom of MDN, and I'll stop caring about it. That's my official. You can stop caring about this thing.
yeah. Shoot, does anybody have anything else?
I think not.
All right. Yeah, do you want to does sign off, Vidal? Do you want to do a sign off or?
Sure, I've been waiting for this.
Okay.
You've been shown and told live Christmas edition. Dang, I don't have any holiday music, but goodbye everyone. Be safe, be merry.